We switch it to the morning or משהו קורה, and we switch it back to the night.
Good. Okay, so we're reading. We're going to read Parshat Naso this Shabbat. What I'm going to try to do is actually connect last Parshat Bamidbar, which wasn't really last week because Shavuot fell on Shabbat. So it's about 2 weeks ago, Parshat Bamidbar and Parshat Naso together. I'm going to start with Parshat Bamidbar, and then we're going to connect to Parshat Naso. So, right off the bat, the first couple of psukim in Parshat Bamidbar, they read as follows, right? ודבר אדוני אל משה במדבר סיני בועל מועד באחד לחודש השני בשנה השנית לצאתם מארץ מצרים לאמור. It's giving you the context and the settings of the place. When did they leave Mitzrayim? This was the second year, right? They left Mitzrayim, בשנה השנית it says, and when was this? This was on the first day of the second month. So this was the month of Iyar, right? Which was last month for us. But at the context of the place, Parshat Bamidbar, when they're talking about the Parshat Bamidbar, it happened on the second year from them leaving Mitzrayim. First day, second month. Now, and then it says the following: שאו את ראש כל עדת בני ישראל למשפחותם לבית אבותם במספר שמות כל זכר לגול גלותם. Yeah. So, which means as follows: Hashem says to Moshe, I want you to do an accounting of the Jewish people. I want you to count them, right? According to their families, according to the father's house, right? Counting the names, all males, right? Specifically, in this case. So here we have Hashem is asking Moshe, I want to get an accounting of the Jewish people. So many of the rabbis ask, well, we already did an accounting. Why are we doing it again? So the classic answer is, you count what you love. So that's not what we're going to deal with today. But one of the questions that I happen to find very interesting is in Parashat Kitisa, in Sefer Bamidbar, in Sefer Shemot, we also count the Jews. But we count in a very different way. How do we count? We give coins. The Jews need to give machatzit shekel. Like on Purim, we give machatzit shekel. So each Jew gave machatzit shekel. So it's a very different kind of counting. It's not like you're not counting people, you're counting coins. So would the rabbis say, well, why do we do that? Well, it's because we were concerned of Ayin Hara. So in Sefer Shemot, we were concerned of Ayin Hara. Now we're counting with names. And by the way, what I'm saying is actually halakha. If like a lot of times, you're part of a minyan and it's missing, so they say you don't count people because it's Ayin Hara. So they tell you, there's psukim that you can actually say when you look at people. So each person is like a word, and then you get the 10. There's many ways you could do that, right? Or maybe you want to count kippot or whatever. I don't know, but don't count people because we have a concern of Ayin Hara. In halakha, it's a very common thing. Another example of Ayin Hara: we know that two brothers, right, or father and son, do not go up to the Sefer Torah. There has to be a separation. So Ayin Hara is it's something to take seriously, but obviously not to the extent in which you're allowing it to, dictate and rule your life. That's already not normal. But how come here in Parashat Bamidbar we're not concerned with Ayin Hara? We were concerned in Sefer Shemot with Ayin Hara. Here we're not concerned with Ayin Hara all of a sudden? What happened? It evaporated? So that's the first question. How come in Sefer Shemot we give coins because we're concerned with counting people and there's Ayin Hara, but in Sefer Bamidbar we count according to the families. We count people, names. So what's the difference? Second thing is, in Bamidbar, you see that the Torah introduces the fact that each tribe has its own flag with a color and insignia, like a symbol, right? And they all had their positions, their formations around the Mishkan. So the Mishkan, they used to travel with the Mishkan, right? And around the Mishkan, the way it worked is as follows. If take a Mishkan, which was a rectangular design, right? It was rectangular, and then you had 3 tribes on the east, 3 tribes on the west, north and south, and that's 3. So 3 times 4, that's 12 tribes. So they had their positions, their roles, their location, everything was given. It was very detailed. The question is, why was it necessary to have colors, flags? Each tribe knows its role. Okay, you want to give maybe a color, fine. You want to give a flag, fine. Why did all these things combine together? Like, what's the purpose in that, right? Especially when you belong to a specific tribe. Okay, we're camping on the left side. When you go home, typically speaking, most people don't have their names on their homes. You know where you live. I know you can have, welcome to this family's house, etc. But typically speaking, most know where they're going.
You have an address.
There's an address, right? So which is very, it's the least personal thing. It's like it's just numbers and location, but it's not something where you say, it's someone's house, but it's a it's an impersonal way to define someone's location. It's just an address, right? Or it being like you can have someone in the hospital can have just like a patient number XYZ. It's not like a personal thing.
No, address is more deep than patient XYZ, I think.
Why? Tell me.
Because it's where they live.
That's true. No, that's true. But the way it's defined, what I'm saying is the way it's meaning.
Not to describe a person, I feel you, but
right.
Meaning,
you're right. It's definitely a lot more personal. When you take like if you were to go online, you put the person's address and you go on Sunbiz, you get a person's name, right? Oftentimes, or there's ways to get people's name to make it a lot personal. But ultimately, what's the whole situation with needing colors and flags? Third question, in Parashat Naso, which is this week's parasha, the Torah decides to invest in multiple psukim and repeating the same thing again and again and again. What do I mean by that? Huh? The Chanukat HaMizbeach was the inauguration of the Mizbeach. They were going to start using the Mizbeach, so when they wanted to start using the Mizbeach, each tribe brought the same exact korban. But what does the Torah do? The Torah goes through 5 psukim for each tribe to tell you they're all going through the same tribe. So take roughly 5 or 4 psukim, multiply that by 12 or so, a couple psukim after, it's about over 70 psukim, literally saying the same thing. All you have to say is, we have 12 tribes, all bringing the same korban. But Torah doesn't do that. This tribe goes through the whole couple of psukim of what the korban is, and this is what they're going to bring. Same thing. Shimon, Reuven, Shimon, Levi. So you're literally saying the same thing, just different names every time. It's like that's why Parashat Naso is the longest parasha that we have. It's 176 psukim, right? So let me just give you an example of what I mean by that, right? So it says over here. Let me just get this out of here. Let me just read you the psukim. So the way it's read is for some reason it's there it is. So it says here, let me just give you an example, right? It says here so it says like this. ביום השישי נשיא לבני גד אליאסף בן דאואל. So it tells you the name of the tribe. קורבנו קערת כסף אחת 30 ו100 משקלה, מזרק אחד כסף 70 שקל לחודש, שניהם מלאים סולת בלולה בשמן למנחה. And then it goes on כף אחד 10 זהב, then it says פר אחד, בן בקר, עיל אחד. It gives you all the animals, it goes on, it says וזבח שלמים. It does this for every single tribe. Every single tribe, it's repeating itself. So, what's that all about? Just tell me. 12 tribes are bringing the same exact korban. I don't need to know. You don't have to repeat yourself so many times. So, when the Torah does that, there's a purpose to it, right? What's the purpose of the Torah doing that? What's the message the Torah is giving us? So,
it shows our differences in how they're unique.
So it's funny. It's funny you're saying that. No, it's really funny you're saying that because here's where this is difficult, Maol, is that every single psukim, all the psukim are literally identical. The only difference are the names of the tribes. So that doesn't show any form of uniqueness.
You didn't say colors and all that?
Well, no, the colors is something that the question we asked in Parshat Bamidbar. Not in Parshat Naso. Now we're discussing Parshat Naso, where they are coming to bring the offerings for Chanukat HaMizbeach. Like, you have Chanukat Bait. Whenever you have Chanukat Bait, when you have something new, you do like a big gathering, you make something special. So they were doing Chanukat HaMizbeach. They were going to use the Mizbeach. So all the tribes, what did they do? They all came, right, on the same day. brought the same exact korban. So just tell me, you're literally just writing 2-3 pesukim. All the tribes brought the same exact korban on this day. That's it. In fact, the pasuk says this. What does the pasuk say? The pasuk says, it says, I'll read to you right now. Here. Let me just get the pasuk over here. Zayin, pasuk Zayin. Perek Zayin, pasuk Yud Aleph. It says, "Vayekrivu haneseim et Hanukat hamizbeach." They all came together. So if I want to say they're different, then each one needs to give a different korban, right? At the very least, so, but that's not the case.
I was thinking about the other situation.
Other situation, you're correct, but this situation, right?
This situation.
How can we reconcile that? So let me tell you.
So for the color is right, Caleb? That's the reason?
He's saying something that you'll see where I'm going with this. I'm gonna give one answer that's really gonna answer all these questions, right? All 3 questions. So let me start with this. If you ask most people what's their favorite out of the 5 chumashim, what's your favorite one? Most people would say
He loves them all. Yeah.
A lot of people, if you ask them, you know what they say? Sefer Bereshit. Why?
Easiest.
It's packed with stories.
Yeah, it's like a book.
It's really like, I want to tell you, I don't know how they do not make a Netflix series taking all the midrashim, because I don't, like when you start reading midrashim, they are extremely colorful. They are, the most creative producers cannot write up things that happen. Stories of Yosef and his brother, Yaakov and Esav, Yitzchak and Ishmael. I mean, just incredible. I don't even know how to do it. Why don't they do a Netflix series about this? Like a real one where like, what? I mean, who knows? but the yeah. But it would
show about killing the best spy.
It would really. You know? I know, right? It would do it. I'm telling you, if done correctly, it would be unreal. I mean, the viewership would be out of this world. So
I don't think anybody will watch it.
I'm telling you.
You seen Shitzel, whatever it's called?
No, what was that?
You saw it?
Well, which one?
Schnitzel in the
It's like שייטל, משהו כזה.
שטיצל.
משהו, שטיצל, משהו כזה, אחי, I'm telling you.
של הדתיים.
כן, אחי, וואו, סדרה.
Yeah,
it's
good.
fun, yeah, it's good. It's not like funny, it's like a drama series, but it's funny.
It's Shtisel.
Yeah,
לא, אמרת שיסל או משהו כזה.
שטיצל.
No, it's not Shtisel. No, it's not Shtisel.
Shtisel.
No, it's not Shtisel.
So what is
Shtisel, not Shtisel.
Okay, I'm talking American.
Anyway, I know what you're talking about. My cousin told me about it. Anyway, so
Yeah, your cousin, your Israeli cousin?
No. So anyway, so long story short, this I think it would do really well. So Sefer Bereshit, what is Sefer Bereshit about? Sefer Bereshit, what does it do? It highlights an identity of people who are the forefathers of Judaism, of Torah, of the Torah. What I mean, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, right? And then you have Yosef, you have the tribes, you have the mothers, Rivka, Rachel, Sarah, Leah, all of them together. All of them are the main players in their own right. They're all very significant characters in Sefer Bereshit, all of them. Right, how Abraham started, how Yitzchak and Yaakov and the 12 brothers, and each one has its own moment where you see their full character on display and their identity, and you see how committed they were to Hashem during all their trials and tribulations. So Sefer Bereshit is a lot about individual expression of who these people were and why they were so great. Abraham Avinu, the Rambam writes that he took financial responsibility for people he converted. He didn't just say, come convert. You know this because he provided for them food all the time. He really took, it wasn't just, the baseline wasn't, we're going to take responsibility for our family. No, we're going to take responsibility for everyone around us. They set the bar to the highest level, their new standard. Like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I actually toured, I was also probably there for sure. I toured the Dolce Hotel across from
You went?
the Hard Rock, the kosher hotel. You guys know the building of the kosher hotel. So I went, I toured it, and I saw the rooftop restaurant. That thing's insane. Like they're setting what they're doing, and this is what I told them. I kid you not. I told them you're literally taking
The bar.
Judaism and you're giving it an incredible level of branding before that it didn't have. Like, unfortunately, we know today that Judaism doesn't have the best branding. Kosher concepts don't have the best branding. What I mean by that is
that's because that's because I'm sorry to say, but it's screwed up.
So I beyond even I'm not saying there aren't things that are extremely problematic, and you're right in many aspects, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is what they're doing is they're taking the food levels to the next concept of kosher food to the next level. They really are.
What do you mean?
What meaning? The ambiance, the decor, the design. They're actually bringing a Michelin star chef. Michelin star chef means chefs that are top of the world. It's actually a rating.
They've gotten the
so they took in a guy.
4 course twice.
Huh?
4 star.
Yeah. Right. So you know more than me about that. So anyway, no, good enough. Still not. So and what I'm saying is they're literally taking it to the next level. So they're giving it good branding. Like and the I saw it and it made me happy because they're literally gonna take.
They're also raising the pockets from that high.
Well, you know what? Let's see. We don't know. We don't know. Let's see. We don't know.
Listen, I'm not gonna
Let's
say
see.
personal, but look at Jay's room.
Okay, no, but what I'm saying is.
Whoa!
No.
We all got sweaty a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay,
No,
so
but-
let that open your mouth.
No,
When he says when he got to the building and they told him this is the rent, he went, you know what I mean? Like, I did that. Like, steaking belayah, it's ridiculous.
I want to tell you something. Meat is not a very profitable thing.
It's not.
It's really not.
Funny though.
It's selecting for $45
Roughly,
and
yeah.
2 rafas that show my other mates, but
So,
he doesn't make the money, he just makes the rafas.
anyway, but there, I was when I saw this, I was very, very impressed, and like I'm very happy that they're developing this because they're giving Judaism and kosher concept a really good side of it, which wasn't there. So I'm looking
How
forward
does the
to it.
hotel look though?
It's first of all the level of design. I think it looks incredible.
Where's the
I really
pool?
like
What floor is the pool
it. Top floor.
on? On the
Rooftop.
roof with the
Rooftop.
restaurant?
Yeah. And
With
you
the
see,
restaurant?
and
So
you
you're
see,
gonna be like getting out of the restaurant?
and you see, and right across. You know whenever you go like to high, I told this whenever you go to like maybe condos in Aventura or any of these places. So whenever you go to the balcony, you're like, where's the Hard Rock? You know, you kind of have things over there.
That's
you don't need to do
straight
that
up.
because it's right there. It's literally right there.
I can
Yeah,
see it from here.
like it's right there, right? Anyway, so just back
Is
to
there
the
a
point.
point for like the pools? Or no?
I don't know about that. Anyway,
Well, that's good. You
I
didn't go to the hotel.
didn't. No, kosher doesn't mean that. Kosher means
That's
all of food.
I thought kosher hotel meant the food. There's gonna be a kosher elevator.
All that is true, but that is really gets a little complex. You know, that's something I guess.
Mechena has an elevator Shabbat.
You know, that we'll see. I'm not entirely sure how that's gonna work out, but
I
don't think-
over there.
absolutely.
For sure.
I actually and I think that's what's actually. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think you're literally gonna have.
I just don't want to go pay hard.
I think you're literally gonna have that combination. But anyway, just not to veer off topic too much. So
That's gonna be crazy.
the idea here is it's about each of the characters in Sefer Bereshit contributed, right? They brought their own character, their own individuality, and they contributed to what they have created, which is the DNA of the Jewish people. So Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, and the tribes, they created, and the mothers, they created the DNA of the Jewish people. So that's what Sefer Bereshit is about. It's about their identity, individual expression. What's Sefer Shemot about? Sefer Shemot is actually very, 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 very compelling Sefer because Shemot in Hebrew means names. So how does Parashat Shemot begins, right? It picks up right from the end of Parashat Vayehi, which is the last Parashat of Sefer Bereshit. And what does it do? It picks up saying regarding the fact that this is the previous generation that lived in Mitzrayim, and now there's a new generation, and there's a new king that didn't know Yosef. And then after it connects the first parasha of Sefer Shemot to the last parasha of Sefer Bereshit, then it's about to introduce the protagonist of the storyline, the main character, who? Moshe Rabbeinu. But how does it do it? It does it in a very awkward way. it introduces Moshe, not, that he was born. Rather, the way it introduces like this: Vaikach ish mi bet Levi, that a man from the house of Levi came, and he took a woman from the house of Levi, right? And they had a child, and the whole, for the next maybe 20 or 30 psukim or so, there are no actual names. It's almost as if, because it says, and how was Moshe? Who found Moshe? Bat Paro. It doesn't say Bitya. We know her name is Bitya, but it didn't say that. Why? There are literally no names. And what's the parasha called? Shemot, which is names. So what's going on? How come there's no names all of a sudden? If that's the parasha, you would think you would have names. It doesn't. Only later does it introduce Moshe Rabbeinu, but when you're going to introduce a character,
name that is brought, I'm saying.
Is that the no? Because what it did was it first had to connect the previous.
No, right.
So then, when it introduces it, it says Vaikach ish bet Levi. It's now it's going back to tell you how Moshe Rabbeinu was born, but it does in a very cryptic way. It doesn't give you any names. Only later on it introduces names to you. So what's going on here? Moshe Rabbeinu, when Hashem spoke to him during the burning bush, they had a 7-day conversation. Not like, meaning he came back, he spoke every single time, 7 days, they spoke for 7 days back and forth, right? Every time they spoke, Moshe Rabbeinu gave an excuse why he is not a good fit to take out the Jewish people. So he said, number one, I'm not worthy. Then he says, you want to use me? I have a speech impediment. I can't communicate. I stutter. I have a problem. Meaning, if you're going to choose a leader, typically speaking, one of the most important qualities of a leader, you would think, is he can communicate. He can convey a message clearly, right? I mean, can you imagine if you worked on your? Can you imagine if you worked on your ability to communicate your points very clearly, right? And in a way which people can understand them. You become extremely powerful, right? You become very powerful if you have the ability to communicate. I mean, in sales, in delivering a point to somebody, right? Anytime you have the ability to communicate, it's so important. By the way, one of the things to pay attention to is we know that during the nidah process, right? When a man is separated from his wife during nidah. So one of the things I read, which I thought was interesting, was, a lot of times maybe there's a disagreement or a fight with the wife, right? How are you? A lot of times, as a husband, come to wife and just give her a hug, and it's all good, and that can solve like a big part of the problem. But during the time in which there's a separation, during the nidah period, you are forced to communicate. You don't have a choice. You need to express yourself, and she needs to do the same. Now, she may do it a little more emotionally than you would, and she'd expect you to understand things, and you may be very direct, but you have to find common ground in your differences. Because if you don't, you're going to struggle. So the beautiful part of nidah process is that you are forced to learn how to communicate. It's an amazing thing, so take advantage of that. Anytime you're emotional about something and you want to respond, try to, if you know that typically when you're emotional, you don't respond well, so don't respond. Take a moment or take a few hours, think about it, and then try to formulate your thoughts. Or even, I'm not saying every single time, but if it's something very important, try to even write it down. Because when you write a lot, you begin to organize your thoughts in a much more clear way. So what I'm saying is, when you communicate, try to do it in a way where you take away the emotion, so your points can be delivered quickly. Anytime you communicate with emotion, it always, unfortunately, it comes off. And when I'm saying emotion, I don't mean a sad emotion or a hurt emotion. I mean at least an emotion where you're angry, you're upset, or disappointed. The other side senses that and feels that, and they're less susceptible to actually listening to what you're trying to say. They're going to be either defensive or attack back in their own way. So if you want to be, there's a saying, my friend told me, don't be emotional, be effective. That's the motto. Like, don't be emotional, be effective. Because being emotional it's not effective. So you see here that Moshe is saying, I can't communicate, don't pick me. It goes back and forth. Then he says, I can't take on this role because my brother, he's the head guy right now in Egypt. Aaron, he's the biggest rabbi. He's the biggest leader. You want me to go and step on his shoes? It's my brother. I can't do it. So Hashem tells him, your brother's going to be happy in his heart that you're going to come out and take on that role. So Moshe says, fine, I'll do it. Then he goes to Paro and he says, Paro, let the people go. So Paro says, who is Hashem that I should listen to him? He laughs in Moshe's face. So what does Paro do? Not only would I won't let the people go, I'm going to make the work, I'm going to 10x it. I'm going to make it 10 times as hard. Now they're going to have to make the brick from scratch. So what happened? Now the people, right, their spirit is very short. They don't have any patience. They're much more angry than before. And they're coming and blaming Moshe Rabbeinu, you did this to us. How could you do this to us? And Moshe Rabbeinu is very stressful about it. And he comes to Hashem, and what does he say to Hashem? Lama hera'ota la'am hazeh. Why did you do evil to this people? Why are you doing this at the end of Parsha Shemot? Like, listen, Moshe had a lot of courage. Like, to go to Hashem. Why? He's literally coming in front of Hashem and saying, why did you do bad to this people? And then he says to him, why did you use me as your scapegoat to profane your name? Meaning, I'm giving you a bad name when to the Jewish people, and I'm giving you, Hashem, a bad name. Why'd you use me to give you a bad name, Hashem? So he's very upset at this. So what does Hashem say? Right? He says, now you'll see what I'm going to do to Paro and the Mitzrayim. So Arav Rafael, no, that's Parashat, that's end of Parashat Shemot.
Oh, okay.
So Arav Rafael, Shimshon Rafael Hirsch, writes something. He asks a question. He says, why is Hashem doing this to Moshe? It's a valid question. Why make him go through this process only then to make him
who he is?
Like, I mean, to bring him down where he feels like he's ineffective, he can't do anything, and why bring Moshe to that level?
To show him.
So he says an incredible answer. You know what he says? He says like this. He says, there came a point in time where even though Moshe Rabbeinu showed a degree of the miracles during Sefer Shemot and how the stick turned into a snake, or etc., all this stuff, there came a point in time where Hashem wanted to display and show to everybody, including Moshe Rabbeinu, that when Paro said, I'm going to make their work 10 times worse, now everybody get to a point where they are hopeless. Nobody can help them. He brought everything to rock bottom. That even Moshe himself cannot do anything about it. Which means, who can only do it? Hashem. So what do you understand from here? While everybody's playing checkers, Hashem is playing chess. Which means, everybody's a pawn. It's literally a pawn in the hands of Hashem. Hashem is moving the pieces and everybody's not realizing what's actually taking place. Which comes out an incredible thing here. Which comes out, Hashem says, I'm going to now show everybody what's going on. What made Paro let the Jewish people go? Which plague was it? The 10th plague is the one where Paro says, I can't take it anymore. Go. Who did the 10th plague? Hashem directly. Hashem says, I'm doing it. Not a malach, not anything else.
What was the 10th one again?
Makat Bechorot.
Oh, so
that was Hashem. That's the 10th plague Hashem did directly without any involvement of Moshe Rabbeinu, Aharon.
He said,
and he says, I'm doing it. Which
he assassinated
and Hashem himself went down and he did the 10th plague, and that's the plague that got us out of Mitzrayim, which means everyone is a pawn.
Question.
Yeah. So far as what I'm saying clear?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a little out of it, but since I thought it was always he sent like Malach HaMavet to do it. Like, I don't know himself, he did it.
Yeah.
So if so, all the Bechorot, he did them also?
Yes.
And so then my question is, why have the Jewish people mark Kodesh Baruch Hu knows they're Jewish?
No, it's true. It's a very, very classic question. But towards the end, it's a very good question. And a lot of rabbis ask that question.
You know how he told Moshe Rabbeinu told the Jewish people to put blood on the door? So you
in a nutshell.
I didn't know
So in a nutshell, it wasn't about if he knew. It's about how we defined ourselves. Putting the blood means...
To show Kilu?
No. It's how we defined ourselves.
Oh.
It's to show, do you define yourself as Jewish? Are you going to come out of here? Or are you going to stay?
I get that.
So that's it wasn't about what Hashem wanted. It wanted us to choose. It wanted us to choose.
It was the blood of an animal?
Yeah, the lamb. Right? So now it comes out like this.
You said he made us suffer. He made to Moshe, like he wanted to give us no hope. When Moshe said, why'd you do this to us? Blah, blah, blah. So we would know it's him, right? So you know
Yeah.
he's
Meaning the only one that can do something
if
is
he's gonna come
Hashem.
on the 10th Baka anyway and be the one that says I'm killing all of it, it's me. Why do that in the first place if you're gonna do it in the end?
Very good question. There's two answers there. Number one, it's the process. Process is critically important in many things that you do. It's the process.
What do they say though?
Just so I can answer, then I can get to it. It's a process. We don't. Oftentimes, the way of human nature is if there isn't a process, there isn't. Forget appreciation. There isn't a realization of what actually has happened and what people have actually gone through. Because through a process, there's also a learning curve. There's also a sense of development and growth. So you needed a process first and foremost. And secondly, is beyond the concept of needing a process, he also Hashem's taken into consideration Paro. He wanted to give Paro a chance at doing right. It's not just about the Jewish people as a whole. When the Egyptians were drowning at Yam Suf, the Jews, the Malachim, the angels were singing. So Hashem says, why are you singing when my creations are drowning? Even the wicked people, Hashem has a place for them when they can return or correct their behaviors. Paro didn't do it. But you have to give, it's a part of the process, right? And so so he had to go through that process. Now, which comes out like this, right? It comes out, what's Sefer Shemot about? Sefer Shemot is about the fact that we are pawns. That's what Sefer Shemot is about. What does it mean we are pawns? The Jewish people, it's no longer about individuality. Sefer Shemot, it's not about individuality. It's not about identity or character formation. It's about the Jewish people as a whole. What do I mean it's about Jewish people as a whole? It means that we are leaving Mitzrayim as a whole, and we were going to accept the Torah as a whole. It was about the whole nation. It was about the Aidah, the Jewish people as one. It wasn't about individuals. That's what Sefer Shemot is about, right? And that's why it's called Shemot, right? Even though there's no characters. But I asked, and that's why when they were being counted, what did they give in Sefer Shemot? Coins. If I give coins, I'm part of a big picture. I'm not individualized. Because I'm giving you a coin, you're counting the coin, you know how much it is. I'm not counting based on it, it's just a coin. Your coin, half a chatzit, here's my chatzit. So you start counting, therefore it becomes a whole, it doesn't become about the individual. Unlike Sefer Bereshit, which is about individuality, right?
I thought only a small percentage of...
It is 1% did come out. Yes, you're right.
So
it's not a whole, I wasn't...
No, the whole has nothing to do with the amount. The whole has to do with
the whole believer.
No, the unity. As being as oneness. Being as one.
But if right now you know me and you are about to leave.
It's about the mission.
One.
Whole means
I get it.
it's about the mission.
For unity, you wouldn't...
It's about, I don't know, it's about the mission. When I mean it's about sharing a common mission. And when you want to share a common mission with somebody, just so I can determine, I'll get to, when we share a common mission, individuality is minimized when it's about a mission. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
Meaning,
So just so I can. Didn't need to.
No,
but the mission was more important.
Right, no, but
the mission was to believe in Hashem.
No.
Believe less.
No, the mission is that now we're leaving Mitzrayim to accept the Torah. We're leaving Mitzrayim as a nation, and we're going to form as a nation, which means that now if it's about the movement.
What if my brother and my father had different views than me and my mother? And you know, the mission was different. So it means they died and then me and my mother were, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a way
it's a very, I never heard somebody ask that question. I never, you know what? You know what?
Brothers or
Moriel, that's a very, very good question. That's a fire question. I don't know the answer to that. I want to think about it. It's a very intelligent question. Meaning, if there's a dispute in opinions of we should stay, we should go, and there are those who decided to stay. So result-wise, we know what happened. Result-wise, but I want to understand. You know,
what are you gonna do as me knowing my Abba or my mother doesn't want to come?
Right. It's a very compelling question. I don't know.
They don't believe in Hashem.
No. Do you leave your family behind and go what you believe? Or do you stay with your family?
You either believe in Hashem or you don't, though.
So
that kind of was different.
So that's the whole point.
Moriel, I'll get back to that. Very, very good question. I don't know the answer to that question.
Nice shoes, man.
So
wow.
So the idea is like this. The idea is like this, right? So Sefer Shemot is about the sharing a common goal, unity, which means individuals, the qualities or the traits of individuals are being minimized, and the goal of the nation as a whole is being maximized. That's Sefer Shemot. Now we're going to Sefer Bereshit, which is Bamidbar. What is Bamidbar? This is where it comes out an unbelievable thing. Sefer Bamidbar is we're doing the counting, right? How are we doing the counting this time? We're using names. It's all about names, right? You know what? What's that about? It's like this. Sefer Bereshit established identity, character formation. That's the representation of Sefer Bereshit. Sefer Shemot is about the movement, the Jewish people as a whole. Sefer Bamidbar, you know what it's about? Is creating your own identity within the Jewish people. That means separating yourself, knowing as I am who I am, and I have my individual character traits, I have my individual qualities, but I am also under the umbrella of the Jewish people. I'm under them, which means, you know what Hashem says? Here, take your canvas, take your brush, your paint. I want you to create your identity. Go paint your identity. But don't break through the canvas. That's halakha, that's the structure, that's the Jewish people. Don't go beyond that. Don't separate yourself or cut yourself from the Jewish people as a whole. Go create your, for sure. Go, absolutely.
But then one canvas could be more dark and worse than the other.
No.
Because then I guess no point.
No. So what I'm saying is you have colors. You know what it's similar like? Can I give you another way to understand it? If you take a menorah, right? Typically speaking, you take a menorah. There's a base to the menorah, right? And then the base of the menorah this is called, I guess, the candelabra, which is the base of the menorah. And then what happens? It spreads out, which means everything is coming from the same source. The branch itself. But go find yourself the identity in which you yourself can connect to. And by the way, you know, Hashem gives you a hint. There's certain things in life where you have special siyata dishmaya, which means you have special help from Shamayim. It's a hint as to what your goal is, what your mission is. Because the more you play your role, the more you fulfill your role, the more brachot, the more blessings you'll have in your life. Because on the one hand, it's your individuality, but then you're also a big piece to the puzzle. And for you to be a piece of the puzzle, you need to have your tools. You need to have the qualities and the skills, and Hashem needs to help you get there. And so you will get those things because you're a part of a mission, but you also were protecting your individual expression. So one of the reasons why communism wasn't successful as a movement is because you had to sacrifice individuality. Not in Torah. You like learning Gemara, great. You like learning Midrashim, go for it. You like learning Chumash, many different ways. You like doing chesed with people? Okay, that's your thing. You want to be a philanthropist in many ways? Great. There's many ways in which you can contribute. It's limitless. You just got to choose that path. There's like we just spoke about the hotel. They're contributing in their own way and style, right? Like they're giving. Like I spoke to one of the owner of a very, very successful restaurant, and he was told something very interesting. He said he wanted to sell. He said to me, I want to sell the business. It's a very successful restaurant. That's why. He says, because in the world there's 3 yetzer hara, 3 evil inclinations. What are they? He says, food, women, and money. And over here, I get all 3. So he's like to me, I want to sell it, right? So I said to him, so why don't you? He says, so many times, big Rabbanim came to me. This is what he said. Big Rabbanim came to him and said to him, you should know, because of the quality of food that you're bringing out, you are literally enabling people to keep kosher. My buddy, him and I went to to a restaurant.
There's also some people that
One second.
Wow,
Listen, they're narrowing the gap between kosher and non-kosher. They really are narrowing the gap. So he says, my buddy, who's not keeping kosher, is considering keeping kosher because we went to a restaurant together and he was so, different restaurant, he was so amazed by the food. And he's telling me, Gil, like I'm actually thinking about keeping kosher. Like there's an area where you're gonna find that sweet spot where it's gonna be your contribution to figure it out. It could be in learning, it could be in many ways, shapes, and forms. Maybe you're good at, maybe you have good management skills. So you're good at creating systems and you can help people take that systems and maybe run like teenage programs better to help, in many ways, it's just limitless. The idea here is like this. Hashem says, take your canvas and create your own identity. And you know what he's saying? A lot of the identity, a lot of the inspiration you're going to draw, not always, but it's going to be from your family. From a father figure, a mother. You're going to draw something. Sometimes it's going to be positive, sometimes it's going to be negative. Either or, it can happen. But Hashem says, you're not your fathers, you're not your mothers, you're not your rabbis, you're not your mentors, you're not your big brother who's successful. You are your own person. Don't try to be someone you're not. Because then you also, if you pretend to be someone you're not going to get the tools you need to succeed. Because you're playing a role doesn't really belong to you. You're not those people. So you gotta tap into finding out who you are and what's your helik, what's your portion, and how you can contribute that portion. And so it comes out that when we say when you're recounting the names, it means that you're creating a name for yourself. That's what says names, which comes out like this, that the Nesi'im, we said, they brought all these types of korbanot, right? They all came on the same day. And I'm going to finish here. They all came on the same day. They said, וَيَקْرِבُ הנשיאים את חנוכת המזבח. They all came, the Midrash says, they all came on the same day to Hashem. Here, take the korban. You know what Hashem says? Even though you all bring me the same exact korban, and they all came on the same day, each one of you is different. So you may bring me the same korban, but what I'm going to do is every single day, a different tribe is going to come and bring the korban with their own motivations, with their own intentions. And that's how they're going to be different. So I'm giving each tribe their own day. He says, you guys, which means they could all brought it the same day. He says, no, each tribe has their own day to bring, their own motivation, their own intention.
So it wasn't the same
So
day?
I'm highlighting it. It wasn't. Even though they came on the same day, he says, no, come back. You come today, you come tomorrow, the next tribe come the following day. Each tribe had their own day of contribution. And that's why the Torah, what does it do? It gives 5-6 psukim for the same korban per tribe. So 5 times 12, you're at least 60-70 psukim. Because each single tribe had their own day, their own intention, their own contribution. So it comes out like this. We said, the 3 questions we said about Ain Hara, right? What's the connection to Ain Hara? So, Ain Hara, if someone buys a car they can't afford, they really can't afford a car, for the sake of social acceptance. And oftentimes, they draw people's eyes to that thing. And what happens? Now, a person is drawing the eyes on something that they're not. That's not their identity. So that's when Ain Hara has power. But when a person, let's say, is extremely wealthy, and then they can't afford a very expensive car, it's who they are. It's what they have. That's actually part of their identity. It's a choice for them to buy or not, but that's part of their identity. If they want to, they can. They have the means. That's who they are. And so it doesn't define them in totality, but it's a part of who they are. Ain Hara does not affect if you have identity. It's who you are. So it comes out in Sefer Shmot. It wasn't about individual identity, it was about a whole. Therefore, we give coins. They all give coins. So we were concerned of Ain Hara because they didn't have identity, the Jewish people. It was just one as a nation as a whole. Sefer Bamidbar, lemishpechotam, lebet avotam, it's about names. It's about flags. It's about colors and insignias. It's about identity. And so if it's about identity, then it comes out that Ain Hara it's not going to affect. Because they have their own identity. Ain Hara is not going to affect you. So all of this really comes down to the fact that when there is identity, right, then it protects you from Ain Hara. That's why they had their flags. We said, why are there flags? Why is there colors of the flags, the formations, the insignias? Each one had a sign. Binyamin was a wolf.
Oh, really?
Yes. Zvulun was had like a sailboat, right? Yosef was an ox. Yehuda was a lion. Each had their own symbol. Yeah, right? So each one had their own insignia and their own color, own symbol. No, there's no tiger.
Monkey?
No.
Really?
There's a snake, which is Dan. Dan had a snake.
For sure.
There was also a
Dragon?
no. Naphtali was like a ram, not like a ram, like a yal,
Really?
like a fast, right? There's a lot of animals, but not everything was animals, right? And that's
I
why,
want to be the syllable.
right? It's right. It's those comments, right? So there also a donkey as well. But anyway, are there any questions? Is the shul clear? So it's very important that, and by the way, what I'm saying to you guys is always, I say this stuff to myself. It's the area where I feel like I need to sharpen up and get better in myself. So it's very important. You know, if a lot of times we try to emulate the way of the goyim. We're saying here you can't even pretend to be another Jew. Can't do that. Kal v'chomer, all the more so if it's a goy, right? All the more so if it's a goy. So it's not even about trying to emulate other people. No, you gotta be who you are. And you got to figure that out. And tefillah is a starting point. Torah learning is another starting point. These two things help you get in touch with who you are. Amen v'amen.